What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Clark Tank. What is probably the final Clark Tank of this format. Yeah, for a variety of reasons, this format of the Clark Tank is going to change. First of all, we've been doing this for about 2 years now. It's coming up on 2 years, and I think a lot of the stuff that we talk about, I definitely am repeating myself. But yeah, watching the trends and things is still important, and I'm still going to do that. And if there is ever anything that is really shocking or crazy, then I will come back and do a show. But it's partly because I'm inconsistent, and I know I'm going to be more inconsistent in the future. Brace Yourself Games has Industries of Titan and probably 2 other projects starting soon. But I would like to do game design streams where, you know, I kind of plan it in advance what we're going to talk about and talk about different elements of game design, because I feel like, you know, for the past 2 years we've been talking about business stuff, which obviously is super important, and maybe I'll do a stream or like a you know, a lecture sort of thing to kind of sum up all the stuff that we've been talking about biz-wise, but I feel like we're totally neglecting the game design side of things, and there's stuff there that, you know, hopefully would be helpful for people, and I'm sure I could learn things from you guys as we do it. So yeah, as people are saying in the chat, Runic Games, the folks who made Torchlight and Hob, they unfortunately had to shut down. So obviously they made Torchlight 1 and 2, and yeah, this is the statement from them. And then recently they made Hob, which we talked about on the Clark Tank a couple weeks ago. But let's look at how well it's done since then. So Hob got up to, let's say, 40k units. So at 20-ish bucks. You know, it's made like 800k so far, around there. But you know, over time, with sales and things like that, this game is definitely going to go on to make millions of bucks. But you know, that may not be enough to fund their studio. Simon's saying the problem with Runic is the Perfect World ownership. Yeah, Perfect World bottom, and Hob might be okay for a small studio, but not great for a giant Chinese free-to-play company. Yeah, I did not know that they were owned by Perfect World, and I guess Perfect World must have owned the majority if they were able to actually, you know, forcibly close them down. But yeah, it seems like Hob did okay, but, you know, I don't know what size Runic was at. The Torchlight game seemed pretty big. You would need, you know, a fairly large team to be able to pull off those sorts of things. I haven't tried Hob. I did play the original Torchlight, but the Hob looks like it has a ton of content in it as well. And I think it's a testament to how good Runic Games is and how much of a following they have that Hob sold as well as it did, because honestly, like puzzle platformy games, you know, there are occasionally some that do well, but they're few and far between these days. So, you know, I was a bit surprised that Hob did as well as it did. I imagine they were hoping for more, but I think it's a difficult genre to succeed in these days for a variety of reasons. So Simon says in 2010 Perfect World Entertainment bought 8.4 million majority stake in Runic. Huh, that's interesting. I was going to say that seems like a pretty good deal if they bought more than half of it for 8.4 million. However, it looks like Runic has been around for 17 developers. I thought it was 17 years, but no, it's 17 developers. But yeah, 17 developers, yeah, this amount of money is not quite enough, even if it does go on to make millions over the years. Yeah, it's not quite enough to support a studio of that size, unfortunately, if they're working on these games for a few years each. Runic was 28 people on Torchlight. Wow. Okay, wonder if the investment was in Hob was larger than its return. Yeah, probably, unfortunately. I think it was when they thought Torchlight could be really big in China on free-to-play. Okay. Yeah, it's are reasonable assumptions. So anyway, it's sad to see Runic shutting down, but hopefully all the folks who work there are able to land on their feet and make some cool games elsewhere. So yeah, other news that's happened since the 4 weeks ago that we last Clark Tanked. Humble Bundle has been acquired by media giant IGN. I don't really know what to think about this. I know a lot of indies are concerned about it, and, you know, reasonably so. You know, we don't want to get to a situation where, you know, your coverage on IGN, if you get any, is based on, you know, whether or not you're putting your game on the Humble store or in Humble Bundles or things like that. I don't think that sort of thing would happen. I think that, you know, the community would cry foul if they tried to do that sort of thing. So I imagine it's going to be okay, and hopefully there will actually be some kind of synergies to actually make it more than okay, to make it actually positive for indies and for, you know, the folks, the good folks that I know working at Humble. So yeah, the jury is out. We'll see what happens. The other news while we've been away is the Steam Curator update is coming this fall. This article doesn't actually, as far as I know, you know, pledge features that we weren't already expecting. So they talked about, back in the summer, I think, the changes that were coming to the Curator system, and this article sort of reiterates those. I'm not sure if, I don't believe that any of these are new. But, you know, the fact that it's coming soon and that they're going to start testing it and stuff is new information, and it's exciting as a developer to think that, you know, it'll be easier to actually send keys to reviewers and stuff like that if we can just do it straight through Steam and not have to worry about all these scammers trying to send us emails to get free keys. So we could just ignore all those emails, and hopefully those emails will just die off, because I would be happy if they weren't in my inbox anymore. But yeah, the other cool kind of bomb that they did drop in here is this highlighted section. If you're not interested in the opinions of human beings, and who is really, helping you find games that are worth your attention, then we also have some powerful features coming just for you. That sounds exciting to me. So that sounds like they're talking about just their algorithmic recommendation system must be getting some improvements. So even if you're not following any curators, if you just go to the Steam store and you have some games that you've already purchased, then maybe it's going to start recommending stuff to you, you know, better based on what you've done. All right, it's time that we get to our homework, see what's been going on since the last 4 weeks that we have been away. So Call of Duty, which came out yesterday, managed to knock Battlegrounds off the top of the charts. Now, as far as I know, this is the first time this has happened. Maybe I haven't been checking often enough, but you know, for the past many months of Clark Tanks, Battlegrounds has been #1 and, you know, immovable. This line has just been like totally flat. But yeah, it looks like, you know, there's a time where it got back up there, and then Call of Duty got back up. So it depends on the time zones and stuff. But yeah, maybe we're seeing some weaknesses in the Battlegrounds armor. I did see, who was talking about this? Somebody on Twitter was talking about how there was a chart of which countries have been playing Battlegrounds and where those daily users are coming from, and the USA was like going up, and for the last month it like finally declined, whereas China is still going up big time and is dwarfing USA and the rest of the world in terms of total numbers. So you know, the fact that it's starting to decline in some countries may mean that, you know, once China hits its peak too, that we've seen the end of you know, the juggernaut, and eventually it'll slowly fade. I don't think it's going to fade quickly, that's for sure. But yeah, eventually it will decline in the charts a bit, and I wonder how much of that has to do with Fortnite, because Fortnite has its own Battle Royale version. So CSGO, you know, it's usually around here somewhere, and it's, you know, similar in many ways to Battlegrounds. We've talked about how it's like a high stress FPS where dying actually really matters. And yeah, this is one of the OGs of that kind of FPS game. It's still hanging around after 5 years. So Assassin's Creed Origins came out just a little while ago and doing reasonably well. So, you know, holding its own against some of these juggernauts. Now Warframe, holy smokes. We've been seeing over the last half a year or so Warframe really climbing. And I think this is the first time it's been in the top 5. It's pretty impressive for, you know, it's a free-to-play game that's quite old, but they must be doing a great job of updating it and keeping it fresh and keeping people engaged. That's pretty impressive. So Dota's usually around, not usually this high. I wonder if they had some kind of event. It's starting to drop off a bit now. Rocket League is usually around, but also not usually this high. Whoa, Team Fortress 2 has a weird new logo here. I wonder if these are like Halloween-related events that were going on. I know Valve often does Halloween-y stuff, so that could be why they're a bit higher than usual. Warframe added an open world map. Holy smokes! Yeah, that's a big change. Dota had a new version with 2 new heroes. Okay, that would explain it. TFT had a huge update with a big pyro revamp. All right, all these things are getting huge updates, so that makes sense why they're up here. Okay, now explain Rocket League. Why is Rocket League higher than it normally is? It's normally around here, so it's not so weird. Now, War Thunder also higher, although dropping off. there's, yeah, just like a few free-to-play games are getting stronger and stronger. I wonder what they've figured out, the developers of those games. Now, Divinity came out a month and a half ago, and we talked about Divinity back when it was in early access. It's a little weird that, you know, a kind of AAA-ish game like this was in early access and for so long. And then when it launched, it, you know, did quite well and is sticking around. And it's also, it's in a genre that does okay these days, so it seems to be a bit on the decline. So impressive to see. I almost played this today, but I decided to play that stick fight game because I feel like it's more relevant to us as indies. And we have talked a lot about like online multiplayer games doing reasonably well. And, you know, we theorized as to why. So it would be good to play one and see if that sort of stuff, you know, is borne out. So yeah, I'm sure I would have enjoyed it. So Football Manager, this is the new one. You know, Football Manager, the old ones are usually somewhere to be found in the charts, you know, in the top 100 or so. So not surprising at all to see this one up here. Pre-order is going to end next week. So yeah, Wolfenstein, there was a fair amount of buzz for this. Maybe it's just because of Nazi stuff going on these days, but I expected it to be a little higher. But, you know, this is still doing quite good. Now, Cuphead, man. So we played Cuphead a while ago and had a lot of fun. I really liked it. Again, as I said when we played it, you know, I wasn't expecting it to be as well designed, you know, gameplay-wise as it was. And so I'm not surprised to see it still doing well because the visuals, I think these days, the indie market space is more crowded than ever. You know, in order to stand out from that crowd, you really need... You know, I think it's more important than ever to have strong visuals, and man, does Cuphead ever. And so the fact that its gameplay is actually, you know, I was concerned that, you know, the team might be really good at art, but perhaps not so experienced, you know, on the game design side. But I think that's not the case. They clearly learned a lot of lessons from games like Super Meat Boy and other really difficult games where you die and repeat quickly. They took a lot of the best modern game design ideas from those types of games and put them in there. So yeah, I think it's probably got a lot of mainstream appeal too. The graphics probably bringing people who might not normally try these types of games, especially these types of really difficult games. So I think this one, you know, could be good for games and indie games in general, just bringing in people who might not have tried it because of the visuals, you know, remind them of the old school animation, old school Disney stuff. All right, Rainbow Six Siege is usually around here somewhere. Total War Warhammer 2, we talked about it last Clark Tank. Yeah, I expected it to still be here, maybe a little bit higher. Okay, Spin Tires. So Spin Tires, the original game, did quite well and kind of came out of nowhere. Let's watch the trailer for this. I wonder, is this the kind of game that appeals to the German Euro type audience? What do you think, my German friends? Yeah, I really want to try this game. Does it just give you a crazy mission like, get these logs back to base, and you just gotta deal with the garbage terrain and make it happen? Rescue this Jeep. The physics are certainly impressive. I think a lot of it is impressive. The graphics look pretty sweet too. The publishers of Spin Tires did run away with the money. Oh, I did not know about that. Huh. If you got a link to a story about that, please post it in the chat, Strack. And cheated the dev out of it? Oh, dang. I wonder if they are involved in this one too then. Physics like that can sell a game on their own. See Space Engineers. Yeah, do you think that's why Space Engineers is doing so well, Aimless? I think it's partly because it's a sandbox building game where you can just construct amazing things. I'm not sure if it's so much about the physics, but I could be wrong. You have a friend, no actually two, who like off-roading and getting stuck and helping each other out or getting through challenges? Yeah, well, this is exactly the game for them. So yeah, I think like we did with Necrodancer, there's that, you know, it's important when you're trying to sell a game that in order to get somebody to buy it, they have to be like not just kind of impressed by it, they have to be like, oh man, this looks amazing. The people who are just like, it looks pretty good, they don't buy it. So I think part of the reason why we did well with Necrodancer is that people who like roguelike games and rhythm games, if they like both, then they're going to be really excited about Necrodancer, right? So, you know, maybe that it kind of isolated a lot of people if they don't like rhythm games or you don't like roguelikes. But the people who were excited about it were really excited about it and are more likely to buy it right away and, you know, more likely to talk about it because they're so excited about it, that sort of thing. So this type of game, like if you are the type of person who likes off-roading and you own a Jeep or whatever, you're going to be pumped about trying this because there are things that you wouldn't want to try with your Jeep in real life that you can try in this game. So you know, having something that really speaks to a specific audience sure helps, and especially as indies, I think it's a great thing to do. Yeah, I'm repeating some stuff that I've said in other Clark Tanks, but hey, it's the last Clark Tank for a while, so I'm allowed to. So yeah, one thing that I think is really important for indies, that I think a lot of indies struggle with, is being able to tell when somebody really is actually excited about your game, like excited enough that they would buy it. So both online and when you're at shows and things like that, you know, at shows, if somebody's playing your game, you know, and then afterwards they give you the controller back and say, yeah, that was really fun, thank you, and then they leave, don't take that at face value and think, oh, they actually thought it was really fun. Often they're being polite, and maybe they did have fun, but did they have enough fun that they're gonna go and buy it, or they're gonna, you know, pay attention, follow you on Twitter or whatever, and make sure they buy it as soon as it comes out. That's what you want. And, you know, being able to tell if people are that excited is important. So, you know, if you have to take the controller from them because they want to keep playing, that's different. You know, if they're asking, can I buy it now? That's different. If they're asking, like, can I get on your newsletter so I can find it? Can I get alpha access? Can I, you know, test or whatever? That's different. Or with Necrodancer, we had somebody, you know, literally take their wallet out and throw it at me, like hit me in the chest with their wallet and said, shut up and take my money. That sort of thing. Those sorts of behaviors where it's clear they're not just being polite. They don't take their wallet out and throw it at you just to be polite. And same thing with online. Like when you put out your teaser trailer, I think it's views. Like, are people really, are they tweeting about it? Are you getting the views on YouTube and on your tweet and things like that? You know, people don't retweet out of politeness. They don't, you know, watch a YouTube video over and over again out of politeness. That's, you know, that's a real indication that they're excited. So if you are going to mash up two weird things, put out a teaser trailer as soon as you can and see how excited people really are about it. And then hopefully you are making a game design, I always do this, that is scalable. So if the result of the teaser trailer is not quite what you were hoping, then you could scale it down and maybe make it smaller. Or if the result of that teaser trailer is really bad, you could cancel it, I suppose. But if the result is good and people are really excited about it, then you can scale it up and make your full vision for that game. So, you know, that's why I encourage you to do teaser trailers and go to shows, but just make sure that you are, you know, being honest with yourself and being discerning with your analysis of people's reactions to your game. So yeah, Spin Tire's doing well. Now, Middle-earth Shadow of War, I'm a bit surprised that this isn't higher. I've seen quite a few people talking about this and playing it. So, you know, I thought that it would be doing a bit better. It's not doing poorly at all, but it is a big name game and, you know, a follow-up to a big game. So, a bit surprised. Have any of you tried it? The reviews are, you know, a little lower than expected. Sword Art Online Hollow Realization Deluxe Edition. So Sword Art Online is an anime which I tried to watch back when it first came out, and for whatever reason I couldn't get into it. But I guess they had a game that just recently came out, so not too surprising to see it do well because it has a big following. GTA 5 is usually around here somewhere. Black Desert Online we've seen lately since its launch has been pretty perennial. So this is the South Park game. Now the previous South Park game did really well and like stayed in the charts for quite a long time, so a bit surprising to see this lower, and it has mixed reviews, so maybe that's why. Maybe people just don't like it as much. So yeah, Mordor has loot boxes in it? Why? Weird. Okay, NBA with its horrible review score is still doing okay. It's pretty surprising. Now Osiris, we played this on Clark Tech a long time ago, and man, I hadn't thought about it for a while, but there have not been very many survival games lately, like new ones. Can you think of any? Not many. So yeah, Osiris New Dawn did quite well when it came out, and then I haven't seen it, you know, much since then, but it must have been on sale. It's dropping off sharply now, so it must have been on sale. You think PUBG killed the survival genre? I don't know. I think there just hasn't been many. Maybe there have been survival games, and they just didn't do well enough to get in the top 50 for us to notice, but I don't think so. I think there just hasn't been too many. I think maybe people thought there was saturation, which I do not believe is the case. I think that survival genre is still quite viable. But yeah, PUBG obviously must have drained, you know, many players from a variety of genres. And yeah, I suppose maybe the survival genre suffered a bit because it does give you some of the same sort of intense stressful feelings that survival games do. Yeah, Shadow Tactics, which we played on the Clark Tank, which I liked a lot. It's on sale, so it's up in the charts because it's on sale. More Blood Bowl stuff. All right, Stick Fight the game. It's still in the charts, so we have to freaking play this. I just installed it, and it's like 60 megabytes. This game is 60 megs. You know, looks fairly simple. I don't think that networking these physics would be simple whatsoever. But, you know, in terms of what's happening on the screen and the gameplay, you know, it's fairly simple, which is a good thing. It's immediately understandable what's going on, that's for sure. In opinion you read, aimless Battle Royale takes what's great about survival games like DayZ and gets right to the good stuff. True. So yeah, we're going to be playing this later. We've talked about this genre. This is snakes, that looks awesome. We've talked about this genre many times on the Clark Tank, where basically any kind of multiplayer, you know, versus game, it has a chance of doing well these days if streamers and YouTubers like playing it against their friends, and if it generates like hilarious situations, because that's what people want to see on YouTube and Twitch. It's just like crazy stuff happening. Their streamer, their YouTuber, you know, laughing out loud, crying, and getting excited and freaking out. That sort of stuff makes for good streams and videos, right? So I expect Stick Fight probably does that. We should check on Steam Spy how many views it's getting. Wow, look at that. Look at that ascent. It's just like straight up. It started to curve a little bit there, but then kept going. It's like, wow. That's crazy. Alright, so Twitch daily. A decent amount. So it had more at launch. Had a big spike, and now flat. What? I am surprised. Okay, maybe it's just because these spikes are so big. 14 million. You know, I wonder how this works. This is the views. I wonder how this actually is tracked, because is it based on, you know, the day that the video came out? So, you know, if a video came out this day, are all future views retroactively credited to this day? Or is this actually looking at, I can't imagine it's looking at like all videos of Stick Fight the game, and how many more views did it have today in total than the previous day? Because that would be a lot of scraping every time. Alright, Smite is usually around somewhere. It also had a bit of a bump. I wonder what this bump is, because another free-to-play game had a bump like that too. More Blood Bowl stuff, it's all on sale. Hack/GU last recode. Alright, more, this is Wolfenstein DLC. Okay, it's not even out yet. More Blood Bowl stuff. Call of Duty stuff. More Blood Bowl stuff. H1Z1. This is actual H1Z1, not King of the Kill. What is it doing up here? Maybe it had a sale or something. So LX we talked about a little while ago, so it's still in the charts. Yeah, this was the THQ Nordic game. Elder Scrolls, yeah, these things have been kind of perennial lately, and this Final Fantasy XIV as well. Ark back in there. See, I go and say like survival games, where have you been? And then H1Z1 and Ark show up, and Rust. Evil Within 2. So Universe Sandbox 2, why is it here? It must have been on sale. It's dropping off now. It must have been. Our End of the World came out yesterday? What is this? Our End of the World is not mine. Uh-oh. Hopefully it's not, it's got nudity. Okay, it's a visual novel. I'll view the page, but not the trailer. Okay, so it's filled with puzzles. A story between she and me at the end of the world. Wow. That is a very, English language not supported. Wow. Yes, China is huge, obviously, but, I didn't think that it was... So this game, you know, in China must be, you know, if we look just at the China charts, is anyone viewing this in China right now? Because you could look at the top sellers in just your region, and I wonder if this is at the top, because holy smokes. Yeah, we've talked before about how important it is to localize to simplified Chinese, and we also did traditional Chinese. But holy frickin' smokes. It's 44th in the top seller list. A visual novel that has no English. Huh, okay. Path of Exile is often around here. The Hunter Call of the Wild we talked about before. Portal Knights, it pokes its head up every now and then. OMSI2 add-on Metropole Roar. So this is DLC for some kind of Germanish game. Alright, Gold Rush the game. So the forest is usually around here somewhere. Stardew is not too surprising. Human Fall Flat is up here because it's on sale. The Dark Eye is 90% off. Okay, I've never even heard of this game. It's a 5-year-old game. Wow, RimWorld. It pops its head into the top 50 every now and then. And there's Gary's Mod. Gary's Mod. Still going strong after 11 years. Edna and Harvey. Harvey's New Eyes. This is also 90% off. What's going on with these super big discount games? And Deponia as well. Are these all from the same publisher? Alright, yeah, so they got a bundle going on. The Daedalic Armageddon bundle. Makes sense. Alright, yeah, otherwise I was like, why are all these games that are kind of not super, you know, juggernaut games, why are they all in the charts at once? 90% off is a big deal, though. They're moving a lot of units, obviously. Alright, so Skyrim, it pokes into the charts every now and then, too. Same with Civ. More of these 90% off games. Grim Dawn DLC. Okay, so this just came out in October. And then more of those 90% off games. Alright. There we are. So there's a jump and there's a kick. Is that it? No, there we are. Slowpoke. That's me. Oh, we're punching and falling and dying. Ah! Oh, so I guess in that sort of one, you just want to stay up. Wow, it's really fast. Ah! Oh, we died because we touched the spikes. You have to shoot them a lot of times before they die. Oh, we're right in the middle with the guns. Oh. And the aiming is not easy. We stuck a lot of things to that guy. Woo! Getting better. Oh, snakes! I was like, why am I not moving? Snakes. I'm gonna run over here and... Oh, is it so whoever gets it gets to be the boss? I see. Oh, just nicked our head. Dang it. That's neat. That is pretty cool. That's enough of that game anyway. I think we understand how it works in general. Yeah, so despite not playing that with my friends, just playing it with some random people on the intertubes, I still had a lot of fun. And you can see I was laughing a lot, being surprised by all kinds of things. So yeah, it felt a lot like Gang Beasts to me in that just like crazy physics things happen and you don't know what's going on, and sometimes you win and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you die in crazy ways when things fall on you or the kickback is so big or whatever. And the level modes and stuff and the weapons were pretty creative and fun, and I think they could add even more. So yeah, I think this game proves the suspicion we had. Well, I don't think it was even a suspicion, I was fairly confident that if you can make an online multiplayer game that streamers and YouTubers can play with each other and have a lot of laughs, it's gonna do well. Alright, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I could say thanks to you guys and talk about how much fun it's been for ages, but I'll see you again soon. This is the end of the Clark Tank, but not the end of me. See you guys next Clark Tank. This Clark Tank is over.